a Claude 3.5 Sonnet with GPT-4o, which AI actually makes you money in 2024, right? Listen, I'm about to show you something that's going to completely change how you think about AI tools and your income. Last month, I tested both Claude 3.5 Sonnet and GPT-4 across 12 different income generating tasks, and the results were honestly shocking. One of them generated 43% more usable output in the same time frame. One of them cost me nearly 3 times as much per 1,000 tokens. And here's the thing that nobody's talking about yet. The cheaper one might actually be making you money faster. If you're using AI to generate content, write code, create marketing copy, or build anything that turns into cash, you absolutely need to watch this, because I'm going to break down exactly which tool wins for your specific situation. And more importantly, I'm going to show you the math that proves it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, and if you're new here, this is where we talk about AI tools that actually impact your bottom line. We're not here to discuss theoretical capabilities or benchmark scores that mean nothing in the real world. We're here to talk about money. Subscribe right now if you're serious about using AI to build income streams, because every week I'm testing these tools in live scenarios and showing you the actual financial impact. This video is going to take you through a complete breakdown of Claude 3.5 Sonnet versus GPT-4, but more importantly, I'm going to show you which one you should actually be paying for, how to use them together to maximize your income, and I'm going to reveal the exact workflows that are currently making me money with these tools. So let's start with the context, because you need to understand why this comparison even matters. Back in 2023, if you asked 100 AI professionals which tool they choose, 95 of them would have said GPT-4. It was the gold standard. It was the tool that everyone wanted access to. But then something changed. Anthropic released Claude 3.5 Sonnet in June of 2024, and suddenly the conversation shifted. For the first time, we had a serious contender. Now, I want to be really clear about something from the start. I'm not an Anthropic shill, and I'm not a die-hard OpenAI fan. I'm a guy who wants to make money, and I want to use the best tools available to do that. So I've spent the last 4 months testing both of these tools in real income generating scenarios. Here's why this matters to you specifically. If you're a freelancer, you're probably spending somewhere between $50 and $300 a month on AI tools. If you're running a content business, you might be spending even more. If you're building software or doing any kind of serious work with AI, you're looking at significant monthly expenses. The difference between choosing the right tool and choosing the wrong one could literally mean hundreds of dollars a month in wasted spend, or thousands of dollars in missed income because you're using a slower, less capable tool. I've seen some firefucker in my community who were using the wrong AI tool for their specific use case, and when they switched, they increased their output by 40 to 60% in the first month alone. That's not a small difference. That's life-changing money for a lot of people. The second reason this matters is that these tools are evolving incredibly fast. By the time you watch most YouTube videos about AI tools, they're already outdated. I'm making this video in November 2024, and I've tested both of these tools extensively in the past 60 days. The capabilities have shifted, the pricing has shifted, the real-world performance has shifted. So what you're getting here is current, tested information that you can actually act on right now. You'll get it. The third reason is that most people are making the wrong choice based on the wrong criteria. They're looking at benchmark scores. They're looking at what their friends are using. They're looking at marketing material. They're not looking at what actually makes them money. And that's the lens I'm going to use throughout this entire video. We're not asking which tool is better in the abstract. We're asking which tool makes you money faster, cheaper, and more reliably. Now let me break down what's actually happened in the AI market. When GPT-4 launched, it was genuinely a breakthrough. It could do things that previous models couldn't do. It was smarter, faster, and more capable than GPT 3.5. Then GPT-4 Turbo came out, which was faster and cheaper. Then we got GPT-4, which is faster, cheaper, and multimodal. It can handle images, video, audio, and text all in one go. That's incredibly powerful if you need that capability. But here's the thing. OpenAI has also been slowly increasing their prices over time. When you look at their token pricing, they've been creeping it up. Claude 3.5 Sonnet came out as a direct response to this. Anthropic said, look, we're going to give you a tool that's faster, more capable in many ways, and cheaper. And they've backed that up. The token pricing is significantly lower than GPT-4. The speed is comparable or better in many cases, and the quality of output in my testing is actually superior for a lot of specific tasks. So here's what you need to understand. This isn't about which tool is objectively better. It's about which tool is better for your specific use case and your specific financial situation. And that's what I'm going to help you figure out. The core insight here is this. You need to think about AI tools in terms of output quality per dollar spent, not just raw capability. Let me give you some real numbers. GPT-4 input tokens cost $0.025 per thousand tokens. Output tokens cost $0.15 per thousand tokens. Claude 3.5 Sonnet input tokens cost $3 per thousand tokens. Output tokens cost $0.15 per thousand tokens. So on the surface they look similar. But here's where it gets interesting. I tested both tools on a real freelance copywriting project. The task was to write 500 words of sales copy for a software product. I gave both tools the exact same brief. I gave them the exact same product information. I gave them the exact same target audience details. GPT-4 produced 812 tokens of output. That cost me $0.012. Claude 3.5 Sonnet produced the same word count in 647 tokens. That cost me $0.009. The Claude output was actually slightly better according to my testing, and it was cheaper. But that's just one example. Let me give you the broader picture from my testing. Across 12 different copywriting tasks, GPT-4 averaged 920 tokens per 500 word output. Claude 3.5 Sonnet averaged 680 tokens. That's a 26% difference in token usage. Over a month of work, if you're doing 10 of these tasks per day, that's 3,000 tasks per month. At GPT-4's pricing, you're spending $82 on output tokens alone. At Claude's pricing, you're spending $61. That's a 25% saving per month. And we're only talking about one type of task. Now, I also tested both tools on code generation because that's another major income stream for a lot of people. I gave both tools 5 different coding challenges. Medium difficulty, things that a junior developer would need to do. GPT-4 generated an average of 2,140 tokens per solution. The code was solid, it worked. But it was sometimes over-engineered. Claude 3.5 Sonnet generated an average of 1,780 tokens per solution. The code was actually cleaner, it was more efficient, and here's the thing, the code quality was rated higher by independent testers, so you're getting better output, faster and cheaper. Let me break down the math on this because it's important. If you're a freelance developer and you're generating code solutions for clients and you're doing 20 solutions per day, that's 100 per week and roughly 4,000 per month. At GPT-4's output token pricing, you're spending $128 per month on tokens. At Claude's pricing, you're spending $85 per month. That's $43 per month. Over a year, that's $516. But here's the real money. If the Claude output is higher quality, and you can charge more for higher quality code, or you can do it faster and take on more clients, the actual financial impact is much larger. I've been tracking my own freelance income since I started using Claude 3.5 Sonnet more heavily. In the month before I switched, my AI assisted freelance income was $4,200. I was spending about $80 on API costs. In the month after I switched to using Claude more, my income was $5,100. I was spending $55 on API costs. That's an extra $900 in income and $25 in savings. Over a year, that's an extra $10,800 in income. That's not a small difference. But here's the thing, it's not just about the raw numbers. It's about the specific capabilities and how they match your workflow. Let me break down what each tool is actually good at, and then I'm going to show you the step-by-step process for figuring out which one is right for you. GPT-4 is exceptional at multimodal tasks. If you need to process images, if you need to analyze documents with visual elements, if you need to work with video or audio, GPT-4 is currently the better choice. The image understanding is genuinely impressive. I tested it with product photography, architectural images, and screenshots, and it consistently outperformed Claude in understanding visual context and providing detailed analysis. If you're building a business around visual content analysis, or if you're doing anything that requires image input, GPT-4 is probably your tool. GPT-4 is also better at certain types of creative writing. When I tested both tools on fictional narrative writing, GPT-4 produced more varied sentence structures and more creative descriptions. It felt more natural. Claude was more direct and functional. If you're writing fiction for publication, GPT-4 might be your better choice. Claude 3.5 Sonnet excels at logical reasoning and code generation. The code quality is consistently higher, the logic is cleaner, the explanations are clearer. If you're generating code for production use, Claude is the better choice. I'd say it's not even close. The code is just better. Claude is also better at working with long documents. Its context window is much larger, and it handles long documents more efficiently. If you're doing research, if you're analyzing documents, if you're working with large amounts of text, Claude will give you better results. Claude is also better at tasks that require nuance and careful reasoning. It's better at things like writing detailed business analysis, creating thorough research summaries, and working through complex problems step by step. In my testing, when the task required careful thinking and detailed explanation, Claude outperformed GPT-4 about 63% of the time. So here's the step-by-step breakdown for figuring out which tool you should be using. First, audit your current workflow. Write down every task you use AI for. I want you to actually do this. Open a spreadsheet or piece of paper. Write down what you're doing with AI right now. How often are you doing it? How much are you spending on it? What's the outcome? Be specific. Second, categorize your tasks. Put them into buckets: visual analysis tasks, code generation tasks, writing tasks, research and analysis tasks, customer service tasks, marketing copy tasks. Whatever your tasks are, categorize them. This is important because different tools are better at different things. Third, for each category, test both tools. Give them the same input. Compare the output. Don't just look at which one you like better. Look at which one actually saves you time and money. If a tool produces output that requires less editing, that's worth money. If a tool produces output faster, that's worth money. Quantify it. Fourth, calculate your actuals per task for each tool. Don't just look at the token pricing. Look at your actual token usage. Look at how long it takes you to edit and refine the output. Look at the actual time cost to you, then multiply that by your hourly rate. That's your real cost. Fifth, make a decision for each category of task. You might use Claude for code and research and GPT-4 for image analysis and creative writing. That's fine. You don't have to pick one tool and stick with it forever. Let me give you some real examples of how this works in practice. First example. I've got a client who runs a software development agency. They were using GPT-4 for all their code generation. They were spending about $300 per month on API costs. I convinced them to test Claude 3.5 Sonnet for their backend code generation. They ran a 2-week trial. They generated about 400 solutions in that time. The code quality was better. The token usage was lower. They switched about 70% of their code generation to Claude. Their monthly API costs dropped to $190. The quality of code improved. They were able to take on more clients. Over 6 months, they've made an extra $12,000 in revenue. That's the real impact. Second example, I've got a friend who's a content creator. She was using GPT-4 for all her content writing. She was spending about $120 per month. She was also spending about 4 hours per day editing and refining the output. She switched to Claude for most of her writing tasks. The output required less editing. She cut her editing time down to 2.5 hours per day. That's 90 minutes per day, or 7.5 hours per week. At her freelance rate of $50 per hour, that's $375 per week in reclaimed time. She reinvested that time into taking on more clients. Over 3 months, her income went up by 42%, and she's actually spending less on API costs. Third example, I've got a client who's building an AI powered document analysis tool. He needs to process images of documents and extract information. GPT-4 was the obvious choice because of its image capabilities. He's using it to analyze about 500 documents per day. He's spending about $80 per day on API costs. The system is working well. Claude wouldn't be a good choice here because it doesn't have the same image understanding capabilities. But this is a case where GPT-4 is absolutely the right tool. Fourth example, I've got another client who's building a research tool. Users upload long documents and the tool provides detailed analysis and summaries. She was using GPT-4. The costs were high. The context window was limiting. She switched to Claude. The cost dropped by 42%. The context window was much larger, so she could process longer documents more efficiently. The quality of analysis actually improved. She's now processing about 30% more documents per month with the same budget. These are real examples from my actual network. These are people making money with these tools. And the pattern is clear. The right tool for the right task makes a huge difference in your bottom line. Now let me talk about the common mistakes people make when choosing between these tools. The first mistake is choosing based on brand reputation alone. GPT-4 has a bigger brand. OpenAI is more famous, so people assume it's better, but it's not always better, it's just more famous. Don't let that bias affect your decision. Test both tools on your actual tasks and make a decision based on real data. The second mistake is not accounting for your actual usage patterns. If you're using an AI tool to generate 10,000 tokens per day, the difference between Claude and GPT-4 is significant. If you're using it to generate 200 tokens per day, the difference is negligible. Don't optimize for cost savings if your actual usage doesn't justify it. The third mistake is choosing based on a single metric. People look at benchmark scores, they look at speed, they look at price, but they don't look at the full picture. You need to look at output quality, speed, price, and the specific capabilities you need. All of those together. The fourth mistake is not testing thoroughly enough. You can't just give a tool one task and decide it's better or worse. You need to test it on multiple tasks that are representative of your actual work. Give it at least 10 tasks before you make a decision. The fifth mistake is not accounting for the time cost of switching. If you're currently using GPT-4 and you're familiar with it, there's a switching cost to moving to Claude. You need to learn a new interface. You might need to adjust your prompts. You might need to set up new integrations. That's a real cost. Make sure the savings justify that cost. The sixth mistake is not considering the ecosystem and integrations. GPT-4 is integrated into more tools and platforms. If you're using specific software that only works with GPT-4, you might not have a choice. Make sure you understand what integrations you need before you make a decision. Now let me talk about the advanced strategies. The first strategy is using both tools together in a workflow. You don't have to pick one and abandon the other. You can use them together. Use Claude for code generation and research. Use GPT-4 for image analysis and creative writing. Use Claude for long document processing. Use